would not have survived. Don't have any doubts about that. Who stood in the face of Ahlul Bayt? You had an evil regime, dynasty, like the Umayyad dynasty, who wanted to uproot the religion of Islam. Without the sacrifices of the Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon them, the Umayyad dynasty would have buried the religion of Islam. They would have exterminated this religion. It is not an exaggeration. Just look at today, what's happening in some parts of the world, right? We just saw in the last 2 weeks how a so-called Islamic government that considers itself to be an Islamic government butchered a human being, right? A journalist in their own consulate in Turkey. Butchered him, cut him into pieces, dismembered him. Now, when did they do this? This is in the year 2018. When you have global media, global coverage, you've got social networking. One image, one news spreads so quickly. Yet, they had the audacity to do something vicious like that. And they thought they could get away with it. Well, it seems that they're not able to get away with it. There's mounting international pressure on them now. This is a continuation of Bani Umayyah. Same ideas, same ideology, same methodology, same tactics. Now, here's the difference. First of all, Bani Umayyah were much more powerful. They pretty much had imposed their rule on most Muslim lands. Number two, back then, you did not have the media that you have today, which quickly exposes you. They got away with most of their crimes. They would commit so many crimes, and who was there to expose them? Who had the power to expose them? Who had the means to expose them? These are the people that the Imams of Ahlul Bayt were dealing with. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, we know how he saved the religion of Islam by opposing Yazid, refusing to pledging him allegiance. And we know how significant the battle of Karbala is. But my dear brothers and sisters, the sacrifice of Imam Hassan alayhi salam is not any less than the sacrifice of Imam al-Hussein. Now you could be wondering, but what did Imam al-Hassan give? Imam al-Hussein was mercilessly killed. He saw his family killed and martyred around him. It was a big sacrifice. The day of Ashura, no day is like that day. No day is like the day of Ashura. In the magnitude of the tragedies that happened. What did Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam give? Such that we with full confidence state that his sacrifice is not any less than an Imam al-Hussein. In fact, from certain aspects, it's greater than the sacrifice of Imam al-Hussein. So you mentioned the peace treaty. The Imam alayhi salam was living in an era in which he had to make a peace treaty with Muawiyah to save the believers and the religion of Islam. At the time of Imam Ali alayhi salam, many wars were mobilized by Muawiyah against the Imam and his followers. People were tired of warfare, of fighting. Many people would be killed in those battlefields, tens of thousands of people. So when Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam was martyred, Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam became the ruler, the Khalifa. He was dealing with very big challenges. First of all, people were tired. They told him, you know what? We know Muawiyah is on the wrong path. We know he wants to destroy Islam. We know that. But we're tired. We're tired of fighting. We can no longer fight. We don't have the energy to fight. Muawiyah was mobilizing tens of thousands of people. Because what he would do, he would take the money from the Muslim treasury from people. He would have people impoverished and starved to death. He would take that money and give it to the soldiers. That's how he motivated them. This was one of his deception. Whereas Imam Ali alayhi salam would not do that. He would not send soldiers to the battlefield and have people starve. No. He would first give people who were in need, make sure that no one sleeps hungry. Then the Imam alayhi salam, if there was anything left, he would mobilize the armies. Muawiyah did the opposite. He didn't care. His concern was to expand his power and destroy the Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon them. So Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam, during his time, people were tired of fighting. That's number one. Number two, Muawiyah came up with an extremely evil way to stop the battle and take advantage of Imam al-Hassan and his followers to start his evil plan of violating the peace treaty. You know what he did? He announced in all the Muslim world that I, Muawiyah, would like to make peace with Hassan ibn Ali. He announced that. In fact, he sent an official letter to Imam al-Hassan. Now imagine Imam al-Hassan. What do you do now? When that leader of the Syrian region is telling you, let's stop fighting. Muawiyah wanted to fight, but this was an evil tactic that he employed. He is announcing in all communities, I don't want to fight. Haram, I want peace. Hassan's the one who wants to fight. I want peace. What can Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam do? If the Imam would have continued fighting, there would have been two outcomes. Either the followers of the Imam would have gained victory in those battlefields, or they would have failed, and they would have lost the battle to Muawiyah. If the Imam alayhi salam would have achieved victory in the battlefield, and the followers of Imam al-Hassan would have achieved victory, the people would have sympathized with Muawiyah, right? They're like, look, Muawiyah did not want to fight. Imam al-Hassan insisted on fighting. So he was the aggressor. And imagine you being the Imam of Ahlul Bayt, the grandson of the Prophet, and people spread a reputation about you that you don't want peace. That's not good. That's not going to help the religion of Islam. So if the Imam would have won those battles, people would have sympathized with Muawiyah. Because people will have said, Muawiyah did not want to fight. You insisted on fighting him. He wanted peace. If the soldiers of the Imam would have lost the battle, what would have people done? They would have blamed Imam al-Hassan. They would have blamed him. Muawiyah told you, let's stop. You insisted, that's what you get. You lose the battle. It was a catch-22. There was no way out of it. So the Imam alayhi salam, for these reasons, had to make a peace treaty with Muawiyah. The Imam's goal in making that peace treaty was to expose Muawiyah. Muawiyah was acting like this person who wants, a truce, who wants peace in the Muslim community. The Imam alayhi salam wanted the world to know who Muawiyah is. Don't trust this guy. This guy can't be trusted. Don't let him fool you. You want a peace treaty? Fine. Let's sign a peace treaty. The Imam stipulated 5 conditions in the peace treaty. What ended up happening is that Muawiyah violated every single one of them. And he showed his true colors. And the Imam was able to expose him. The Imam alayhi salam exposed Muawiyah. This guy is a liar. He's a deceiver. He's not honest. He's not truthful. And he did not stick to any of the conditions stipulated in the peace treaty. Now, many people did see that. Some of them did realize where the truth is, because a lot of people were confused. This was one way through which the Imam alayhi salam saved the religion of Islam, by exposing the evil tactics of the Bani Umayyah. And this saved the religion of Islam through history. And the Imam alayhi salam did not want anyone to have an excuse later when Imam al-Hussein would rise and the conditions would be appropriate for that revolution. The Imam did not want anyone to blame al-Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Because even until today there are some ignorant people, unfortunately. Some of them call themselves the mufti of the kingdom. Listen to what they say. They blame Imam al-Hussein. Even there are some ignorant people. Most Muslims don't. Even from the followers of other schools of thought. But there are some who do. You hear them. They say, yeah, why did Imam Hussein cause this disunity? Why couldn't he make peace with Yazid? Well, if anyone says that, give him the example of Imam al-Hassan. His older brother did. He did make peace with Muawiyah. What happened? What did Muawiyah do? Muawiyah spread his corruption, injustice. He started killing more people. He violated the conditions of the peace treaty. So don't give me that as a justification and excuse. And that's why the revolution of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam was so effective. That's why it changed history. Because of Imam al-Hassan's earlier works. Had it not been for the treaty of Imam al-Hassan with Muawiyah, people would not have realized why Imam al-Hussein was revolting. People would have blamed Imam al-Hussein. They would have told him, why don't you try to make peace and, solve this issue with this man Yazid? It would not have been effective. The reason why the revolution of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam became powerful and effective is because of the treaty of Imam al-Hassan. Imam al-Hassan exposed Bani Umayyah. Now people realized, okay, we now know why Imam al-Hussein would rise and revolt and not recognize the authority of Yazid ibn Muawiyah. So the Imam alayhi salam did this peace treaty. By the way, he did not recognize the authority and leadership of Muawiyah. The Imam made it very clear that he's not a legitimate leader. Yes, I'm not going to go to war anymore with him, but he doesn't represent the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In fact, once Muawiyah wrote a letter to Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam. In his letter, he addresses the Imam. He tells him, look, I am better than you because people pledged me allegiance. Everyone pledged me allegiance, but not you. Not everyone pledged you allegiance. This is after he had signed the treaty and pretty much people had pledged allegiance to Muawiyah. So he told him, I'm better than you. People pledged me allegiance and they didn't. Look at the beautiful, powerful response of Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam. The Imam tells him, oh Muawiyah, those people who pledged you allegiance, they fall into two categories. Either they willingly pledged you allegiance, or it was out of coercion, out of force, because Muawiyah did force people. It's not like he gave them an option. So the Imam tells him, as for those who were under force when they pledged you allegiance, well, they are excused. The Quran says if you're forced to do something, you could be excused. So don't talk about them and brag that they pledged you allegiance. It was by force. And as for those who willingly pledged you allegiance, well, guess what? They disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by doing so. Then the Imam alayhi salam tells him in the letter, and as for your statement that you're better than me, I would not say that I am better than you. Because you, Muawiyah, have no goodness in you. For me to say that I am better in you. You've got no goodness in you. Allah has made me free from any vices, any bad, and He's made you free from any goodness, O Muawiyah. The Imam was very clear that Muawiyah is not a legitimate leader. Some historians, unfortunately, some Orientalists, they misunderstand this point. They're like, oh yeah, Imam al-Hassan, by signing the peace treaty, he recognized Muawiyah, he compromised, and he recognized him as the caliph. That's not the case. The Imam a.s. never recognized him as the caliph. The Imam would make it very clear that Muawiyah is unjust, but he simply stopped the warfare. Now when Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam made that treaty with Muawiyah, what price did he pay? Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, we know the price that he paid on the day of Ashura. They physically assassinated him. They martyred him. They martyred 72 of his family members and companions. But what was the price that Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam had to pay because he signed this peace treaty to save the religion of Islam? If it were not for that treaty, Muawiyah and his deception and his massive armies would have obliterated the religion of Islam and would have killed every believer on the face of the planet. Make no mistake about that. What is the price that Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam paid? Any ideas? Any thoughts? Yes, brother. His dignity. See, Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam, when he signed that peace treaty, he came under heavy fire and attack, even from his companions. Many of them rejected the idea. How can you make a peace treaty with Muawiyah? It's impossible. That's humiliation for us. There was heavy resistance to the Imam alayhi salam. Heavy resistance to that peace treaty. Most people did not accept it. They saw this as a sign of weakness. Imam Hassan is now weak. He's giving into Muawiyah. What's this? We're humiliated. We have to resist and we have to fight. People misunderstood why the Imam made that peace treaty. And this took a very big toll on Imam Hassan alayhi salam. He's the grandson of the Prophet. Sayyid Shababi Ahl al-Jannah, the master of the youth of paradise. And for people to attack his dignity in such a way and call him weak and accuse him of bringing humiliation to the believers, this was very heavy on the hearts of Imam al-Hassan. But the Imam alayhi salam sacrificed this in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And by the way, everything the Imams do has a precedent in the life of the Prophet. You know, the same thing happened with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa alihi, of course to a lesser degree. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa alihi in the 6th year of the Hijrah sees a dream. He sees a dream that he, along with Muslims, are entering Masjid al-Haram and they're doing their Hajj. So the Prophet mobilizes the Muslims. Let's go for the pilgrimage. Many Muslims were puzzled. How are we going to Mecca when the pagans control Mecca? They might not allow us to enter Mecca. The Prophet said, let's go. He mobilized the Muslims. 1,500 Muslims joined. The banner was given to Imam Ali alayhi salam. Now they're going south from Medina to Mecca. They reach a place called Hudaybiyah, not too far from Mecca. The Quraysh, they realize that the Muslims are coming to Mecca. Some of them got concerned. What's going on? Why are the Muslims coming here? Are they here to fight? So they dispatched representatives from Mecca to go and see what's going on. The representatives came and they saw the Muslims and the Prophet in ihram. So they asked, what's the matter here? Why are you here? What brings you to Mecca? They said, we're not here to fight. We are here to do our Hajj. Let us do the pilgrimage and we'll go back peacefully. See, we're not even carrying weapons. So they went and they told the Quraysh that the Prophet is not here to fight. They're here for the pilgrimage. But they found that hard to believe. They sent more and more representatives until it was confirmed to them that, yeah, the Muslims are not here to fight. In the end, the pagans did not allow the Muslims to go and enter Mecca. They're like, no, we will not allow you. So the Prophet ﷺ made a peace treaty with them because a huge fight was about to break out. The Prophet ﷺ said in that peace treaty, for 10 years there is no fighting between us. And then in the following years, you'll allow us to come and do the pilgrimage. They accepted. By the way, they broke the treaty 2 years later when they killed innocent Muslims. Just like Muawiyah broke that treaty, they also, the pagans of Mecca, broke that peace treaty. But the Prophet made that peace treaty. Now, do you know who objected to the Prophet when he made that peace treaty? Who objected to him? Enemies, people of the book, the Jewish community in Medina. Who gave him a hard time? His own companions. His own companions. In fact, look at the history of all Muslim sources. One of the companions who was most aggressive with the Prophet was Umar ibn al-Khattab. He came to the Prophet. He told him, Ya Rasulullah, what's going on here? What is going on here? You're signing a peace treaty with these pagans? This is humiliation for us. We should be stronger than that. We should not talk to the enemy and make peace with the enemy. The Prophet told him, calm down. I'm ordered by God and I will not disobey Allah. Then he told him, then what about your dream that you had? Because when the Prophet saw that dream, Allah revealed a verse in the Holy Quran. لَقَدْ صَدَقَ اللَّهُ رَسُولَهُ الرُّؤْيَا بِالْحَقِّ. Allah states in the Holy Quran that this dream that the Prophet saw, that the Muslims will enter Masjid al-Haram while having their heads shaved, and their hair cut in the state of ihram, Allah revealed a verse confirming that Allah will make this a reality. So he told him, but you told us about this dream, So now we're going to have to go back to Medina with no Hajj. The Prophet ﷺ tells him, he tells Umar ibn al-Khattab, he tells him, Umar, did I tell you this year we're going to do the Hajj? Did I specify that and say this year? He said, no. He said, I didn't say this year. Inshallah. Be patient and Allah will grant us victory and soon we will enter Mecca. And that happened in the following years. But this was a test for some of those companions. And he himself, Umar, he says, at that moment I really doubted the Prophet. I doubted him. Is he really the messenger of God? What's going on here? He was confused. The same thing happened with the Prophet. There was resistance. Some of those companions did not like the peace treaty. But in the end, Allah supported the Prophet. Same thing happened to a greater extent with Imam Hassan alayhi salam. Many of them could not accept this peace treaty. They saw this as humiliation. But the Imam alayhi salam sacrificed his position in society, his dignity, and his reputation for the sake of Islam. And you know what Muawiyah did after that? Brothers and sisters, wallahi, when you read the history of Imam al-Hassan, it really makes any heart of stone cry blood for the Imam alayhi salam. After that, when Muawiyah did the peace treaty, he still saw a big threat in Imam al-Hassan. He was the most respected Muslim, the grandson of the Prophet. Muawiyah wanted to spread his corruption everywhere, and the Imam's presence stopped him from doing that. So Muawiyah started the greatest smear campaign in the history of Islam, my dear brothers and sisters. So many accusations were launched against Imam al-Hassan. Muawiyah would actually bring companions of the Prophet, and he would pay them money to forge narrations and stories to assassinate the character of Imam al-Hassan. No Imam of Ahl al-Bayt experienced character assassination like Imam al-Hassan, even until today. Appreciate the value of the Imam and what he sacrificed, my dear brothers and sisters. Every Muslim is indebted to Imam al-Hassan. But that's very painful. That's what Muawiyah would do. His evil methods was to pay companions. Once, to give you an example, there were many companions whom he would pay. You had, for example, Abu Hurairah. You had Samara ibn Jundub. Samara ibn Jundub was a companion of the Prophet. Once Muawiyah called on him. Told him, Samara, come. There's a verse in the Quran that states, and there are those who sell their souls for Allah to achieve God's satisfaction. I want you to go and say to the people that you heard the messenger of God, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, state that this verse was revealed in honor of Ibn Muljam. Who's Ibn Muljam? The murderer of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Say this verse is praising the killer of Ali. And you know what he promised Samara bin Jundub? He told him, Samara, I'll give you 100,000 dirhams, 100,000 silver coins. How about that? Samara's thinking, you know, obviously I'm going to buy hell with this. Let me see if it's worth it or not. He thought about the 100,000. He's like, no, Muawiyah, I'm not up for that. Muawiyah told him, how about 200,000 silver coins? Will you now do it? He thought for a moment, he refused. Muawiyah then enticed him with a figure he could not refuse. He told him, I'll give you 400,000 silver coins. Go and fabricate this hadith and claim that you heard it from the Prophet. Samara, 400,000 silver coins, that's a fortune. He's like, okay, I accept the deal. He takes those coins and he goes, he gives a speech to the Muslims that he heard this hadith from the Prophet, and he denounced Imam Ali alayhi salam. This Samara was a companion of the Prophet. You know, Samara, this same companion, gave the Prophet a hard time himself. You know, today you see In other schools of thought, this very rosy image of those companions. Just look at what they did to the Prophet in Medina. This guy Samara in Medina, he had planted a palm tree in a garden in Medina. Later, one of the Ansar buys that garden, but this palm tree was owned by Samara ibn Jundub. Now, in Islamic law, if you own a tree in a garden, then you also own access to it. You know, if you want to go and water your tree, go and, let's say, pick the dates, you have that right. Now, that member of the Ansar, that companion of the Prophet who owned that garden, his house was also in the garden. Now, his house was at the entrance of the garden. In order to get to that palm tree, you had to go through his house. He came to the Prophet complaining. He told him, Ya Rasulullah, this guy Samara, whenever he wants, he storms into my house without seeking permission, and he wants to go and, I don't know, do what with his tree. I've got a family in my house. My wife is in my house, and he just storms in. The Prophet calls on him, Samara, come. Why don't you seek permission from him before you enter? He got agitated. He didn't like it. He said, no, why should I seek permission? I own that tree, that palm tree, and I can go whenever I want. The Prophet told him he's got a family. What do you mean? You're harming him. You're annoying him, and you don't have that right. He refused. When he refused to agree to ask for permission, the Prophet told him, Samara, let's make a deal. Give him that palm tree, and I will compensate you by giving you another palm tree somewhere else in Medina. Imagine being given a palm tree by who? By Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. You think everyone appreciated the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa at that time? Even some of his companions. Some did, but did all of them do? He said, no, I refuse that deal. The Prophet told him, Samara, I'll give you 2 palm trees. Let go of that palm tree so you don't disturb him anymore. I'll give you 2 palm trees elsewhere in Medina. He said, no, I want that particular palm tree. The Prophet said, I'll give you 3 palm trees. He refused. Then the Prophet ﷺ told him, Samara, give him that palm tree, and I will guarantee that you will have a palm tree in paradise. Allahu Akbar. And when you have a palm tree in paradise, what does that entail? That if you have a palm tree in paradise, Allah will take you to paradise so you can have access to that palm tree. It's not like you're going to go to hell and you have a palm tree in paradise. No. In other words, the Prophet was telling him, I guarantee paradise for you. You think he accepted the offer? He did not accept the offer. Samara did not accept the offer. Yes. That's a man who Muawiyah would obviously buy. Some of them didn't believe in the Prophet ﷺ. He's guaranteeing paradise for you for a tree. And they didn't accept it. But no. The companions, mashallah. All of them are stars. Fabricated hadith, by the way. They narrate this. My companions are stars. Anyone you follow will guide you. Allahu Akbar. Yeah, follow Samara. Let's see where you end up. They gave him a hard time. They really did give him a hard time. And Muawiyah would use people like that to fabricate narrations. And so he fabricated so many hadiths against Imam Hassan. Even until today, some historians, unfortunately, without doing proper research, some Orientalists, they look at the life of Imam Hassan and they paint this disturbing image of his life. He was a complacent man. And one of the major accusations that were launched against Imam Hassan was that he married hundreds of women and he was a habitual divorcee. He would divorce and divorce and divorce. Until today, we have these hadiths in our books, my dear brothers and sisters. One hadith states, this is in the books of other schools of thought, and unfortunately even in our Shia books, we have these disturbing hadiths which today our scholars are filtering and defending the honor of Imam al-Hassan. One hadith states he married 75 women. A second one in their book stated he married 150 women. A third one states 200 women. A fourth one states 300 women were married by Imam Hassan. Then he would divorce them, to the point they claim that Imam Ali alayhi salam in Kufa, when he was the Khalifa in Kufa, he had to stand on the pulpit, on the minbar, and he told the people, "Oh people, stop marrying your daughters to my son Hassan, because he keeps divorcing them. I've got advice for you. Stop. Don't give him any more daughters." Until today, my dear brothers and sisters, our books have these ahadith roaming in them, unfortunately. This was the smear campaign that Muawiyah launched against Imam al-Hassan to destroy his reputation in society and in history. And Imam al-Hassan is madloom, he's really oppressed. Many people misunderstand his life and his biography, and they believe these accusations. Now, when you look at the chain of these narrations, many of them were fabricated by liars, by unknown people, mysterious people. Now, you could argue, because this is one argument that we find today, we do have a hadith in the book of Kafi which says this. What do you say about that? Kafi is a Shia book of hadith, and many scholars view it with high regard. And yet, we find one such hadith. How do we deal with such hadiths? My dear brothers and sisters, the Imams of Ahlul Bayt taught us, when it comes to accepting hadiths, there's a standard. It doesn't matter what that book is. Even if it's the book of Kafi, the Imam ﷺ has guidelines for scholars and people, educated people, on which hadith do you accept and which one you don't accept. The first one, take that hadith and analyze it logically, see if it makes sense. Use logic. That's number one. The school of Ahlul Bayt is based on logic, my dear brothers and sisters. If Imam al-Hassan married 200-300 women, let's analyze this from a logical, historical perspective. Let's say he married 200-300 women, okay? Where are his children from those women? What happened? Imam al-Hassan did not have many children. In fact, compared to an average person in his time, he had less children than the average. If you had 200 wives, and each wife would give you birth to at least one child, let's say one. You know, back then they would give birth to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that was normal. If each wife would have given birth to one child, how many children should he have had? At least 200. Okay, where are they? What happened to those children? How come history does not tell us Imam al-Hassan had many children? Number two, who were those wives? What were their names? Imam al-Hassan was not this, anonymous person in society whom people did not know. He was the most well-known figure in the Muslim Ummah at the time. He's the oldest grandson to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He's the master of the youth of paradise. A figure like him, people would know everything, even about his family life, who his children are, who his wives are. So who are these 200 wives? Look at history. Show me anything about them. What were their names? Which families did they come from? Non-existent. Just claims that Imam al-Hassan married this number. Number three, do you really accept? First, we believe Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam is ma'soom, infallible. Do you really believe Imam Ali alayhi salam, if he found this troubling, he would go on the pulpit of Kufa and he would denounce his son Imam al-Hassan in front of people? Is this possible? Imam al-Hassan, who was the most obedient to his father. If Imam al-Hassan was marrying a lot and Imam Ali found that problematic, he tells his son. Why go in front of thousands of people in the mosque and say something like that? And for you to say, yeah, Imam Ali told his son, but he didn't listen, that's unacceptable. This is Sayyid Shababi Ahl al-Jannah. The Prophet ﷺ is witnessing that he is the master of the people of paradise. And some have believed this. Until today, unfortunately, you find some historians who believe in this. Now, why would someone like Al-Kulayni, the author of Al-Kafi, put a hadith like that? A number of reasons. Al-Kulayni is giving us these ahadith He is telling scholars who would come after him, these are the narrations I found. You do your research to know if they're right or wrong. Because the Imam also wants to preserve history for us, my dear brothers and sisters. Al-Kulayni wants to preserve the history for us. So we know what happened to the Ahlul Bayt. So we know what kind of smear campaigns were launched against them. Al-Kulayni is essentially telling us, look, these are the hadiths that were floating at the time. And this is what the Ahlul Bayt had to go through. If he would have eliminated these hadiths, many of us would not have known what happened to Imam Hassan and the amazing sacrifices that he offered. But you don't find a smear campaign in the history of Islam like we find for Imam Hassan. But he sacrificed that for the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to save the religion of Islam. And we have to appreciate that, my dear brothers and sisters. And this is a very important lesson for us. Today in our community, in our society, in our families, one very important problem, because don't look at this from a political perspective only. Yes, this was a political campaign launched by Muawiyah in order to attack Imam Hassan alayhi salam. But we have smear campaigns every day in our daily lives, my dear brothers and sisters. Look at what happens in the community, especially today with social media. Many of us, as soon as we get a rumor on Facebook, on WhatsApp, quickly we spread that rumor. You get that urge, right? Whenever you hear something about someone, it could be a smear campaign, it could be something to expose someone. Instead of burying it immediately and stopping it and deleting that thread, many of us have the habit of spreading it. We quickly show it to our friends. We quickly share it with family members. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches us in Islam that the dignity of a human being, the dignity of a believer, is greater than the Kaaba. And whenever a believer is exposed, rumors are spread around him, about him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, you have come to war with me. That's worse than destroying the Kaaba. We have to be very, very careful and sensitive, my dear brothers and sisters. Many people's lives are destroyed because of rumors, because we circulate things. And most of the things, believe me, most of the things that you're told are not accurate. Many people, when they give you something, they're relating to you some information, some news. Don't trust everyone that they're telling you the story the way it was. People add things to the story. You're all familiar with the telephone game, right? Or they call it Chinese whispers. Right? You say a word and then you have your friends say it into each other's ears, and then the last one has to say that phrase or word. And you see how many changes have been made to the word, right? This happens every day in society. Most people, when they're telling you something, first of all, they're changing aspects. A lot of times, we add our own analysis to news and we call it news. And you say it to your friend as if it's a fact, when it's just your analysis. We mix things with our own biases and analysis. And this is a problem. Fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, being a good Muslim, doesn't mean that you only observe your daily prayers. It means that you're concerned about the dignity of your friends, of your family members, about anyone in society. My dear brothers and sisters, whenever you receive something that's negative about someone, immediately stop that chain. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala considers this more valuable than all of your prayers and all of your fasting. Because that's what it really means to be a Muslim. To protect the dignity of others, to stop rumors. Even if you know that rumor is true, you need to stop it. Even if you know. Because in Islamic law, we have two terms. One is ghiba. What's ghiba? Ghiba is backbiting. See, ghiba is something negative that exists in your brother or your sister, and you talk about it and you spread it. Now, if it's a rumor, meaning it does not exist, and it's an accusation, that's a tuhma. That's a buhtan, which is far worse than ghibah. You know, some people, when you talk to them, and you tell them, but why did you spread that? Why did you say that? Well, say it, it's true. Wallah, it's true. Habibi, I'm not asking you if it's true or not. Who gave you the right to expose someone in the community, or in your family, or one of your friends? If it was not true, then that would have been a bigger disaster. Because then you're not only exposing someone and ruining their reputation, but you're also accusing them. So what if it's true? Ghiba means that it is true. There is something negative that happened. But Islam says no. Cover it up. Don't expose that person. And sometimes, my dear brothers and sisters, this is the lesson we learned from Imam Hassan alayhi salam. Sometimes, to make peace between people and to protect the dignity of others, sometimes I have to sacrifice from my own dignity. Oftentimes you see this happening. There's a fight between two groups, two families, misunderstandings. And then you find one of them, one of the parties, one of the sides, he goes and he accuses another person of being the troublemaker here. Let's say they use you as the scapegoat, right? They're trying to make peace, those two families, those two partners. And then they blame it on someone else. And then it reaches you, you know what? You've blamed. You've been blamed. They've used you as the scapegoat, but now they've made peace. Now you've got two options here. Two choices to make. Either you go and you defend yourself. And you say, no, that's not true. I had nothing to do with this. They're falsely implicating me. I had no role in this. And you go and you defend yourself. But what's going to happen? That fight is going to continue. The other choice for you to make is to submit yourself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and say, in the end they made peace, fine. Even if they blame me, even if I'm the scapegoat. But as long as there's now two families who have peace with each other, two partners, two friends, I will sacrifice my dignity for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How many of you are willing to do that? Imam Hassan alayhi salam made that sacrifice. For you and I, for the Muslim Ummah, for humanity. Are we willing to make a fraction of that sacrifice? That's a very big sacrifice to make. Not many people are willing. And remember, my dear brothers and sisters, if you've ever been attacked, you've been the target of a smear campaign. We do have this every day. You know, sometimes people do come and tell me. There are some people, they can't defend themselves. They're intimidated. We've got a lot of bullying. It happens in most families, in most circle of friends, in schools. We've got an issue of bullying. And we've got cyberbullying that's happening on the internet, on social networking websites. There's a lot of bullying that goes on. And you'd be surprised, my dear brothers and sisters, even people with disabilities are bullied. You would think that, you know, we're past that era where we mock and intimidate people with disabilities. Think twice. It happens every single day. Every once in a while, I have a brother or sister who's suffering from a condition, a disability, and they come to me and they tell me about the horrifying stories. Their own family members, their siblings, for God's sake, their siblings. Your siblings should have your back, should be your support in life. They put them down. They make fun of their disabilities. It happens with all people, but especially those who are weak, who cannot defend themselves. If you have ever been subject to that, my dear brothers and sisters, remember one thing. You have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He will defend you. In fact, there's a hadith that states when you're attacked, violated, when your reputation has been attacked, if you go and defend yourself to save your reputation, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, my servant has saved himself. He's defending himself. So why should I defend him anymore? He's defending his own self. But when Allah sees His servant not doing anything, he's not seeking revenge and attacking other people, and he submits his case to Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, he didn't defend himself, so I'll defend him. And let me ask you this question. Who can better defend? Can you better defend yourself and reclaim your dignity and reputation, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? There's no comparison. These are some beautiful lessons, my dear brothers and sisters, that we learn from the life of Imam Hassan alayhi salam. It is through that sacrifice that he saved this religion for us. And let's honor him by making similar sacrifices in our community, in our society, to bring the hearts closer, to unite the hearts, unite friends, unite family members, unite different factions in the community. For the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, do that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will consider you a true follower of Imam Hassan alayhi salam. But O believers, Imam Hassan had to pay a very heavy price. Not just his reputation, but even physically, the Imam alayhi salam was subject to a number of attempts at poisoning him. And the last one was an attempt by his evil wife, Ju'da bint al-Ash'ath ibn Qais, who was an enemy of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Imagine, you don't have safety and security even in your own house. This is how some of the members of the Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon them, lived. Your wife, who should be a source of support to you in your life, in fact, she becomes the source of your problems and your pain. What a difficult test, my dear brothers and sisters. Muawiyah sends poison to Ju'da. She was not a woman who had faith. She was an evil person. And he instructs her, he gives her instructions on how to poison Imam Hassan alayhi salam. One day, Imam Hassan was fasting. At the time of iftar, she put that poison in the iftar of Imam Hassan alayhi salam. For 2 months, according to reports, for 2 months, the Imam alayhi salam struggled with this poison. For 2 months, his color became green. He was suffering from this poison. The Imam alayhi salam would discharge clots of blood. That's how severe the poison was. Every single day during those 2 months, the Imam alayhi salam would endure the excruciating pain of his liver being cut up into pieces, of clots of blood being discharged from him. Salamullah alayk, ya Mawlai, ya Aba Muhammad al-Hassan. You know, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi would cry when sometimes he would see Imam al-Hassan. Not just Imam al-Hussein and him remembering Karbala, even Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam. Once the Holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi saw Imam al-Hassan, he embraced him and he began to cry. And he started saying, "Oh Hassan, after me, very huge challenges will lie ahead of you." The Prophet embraced him and he said to him, "Oh Hassan, you are my son. You are the light of my eyes. You are the heart, the life of my heart. You are a part of me, O Hassan." Then the Prophet ﷺ states that my grandson Al-Hassan shall be poisoned, and he shall become a shaheed, he shall be martyred. The Prophet says, whoever cries for my grandson Al-Hassan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shall give him peace and security on the day of judgment. O Rasulullah, we take your words and we express to you our condolences on the martyrdom of Imam al-Hassan. One day Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam came to the room of Imam al-Hassan during his final days to visit him. He saw the Imam had a container before him and he was discharging the blood in that container. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam could no longer hold himself. He broke into tears and he cried so hard to the point where Imam Hussein fell on the floor. Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam was very moved when he saw his beloved brother Hussein crying. You know what he tells Imam al-Hussein? He tells him, my dear brother Hussein, save your tears. Save them. A very difficult day awaits you in Karbala, O Aba Abdullah. On that day, you will be abandoned. You will not have any supporters except a few. O Aba Abdullah, let me tell you, you will be martyred in Karbala, and you shall see your family members killed around you. But that's not the only tragedy, O Hussein. After you, the women and the children, they will be taken as prisoners of war. Oh, Aba Abdullah, don't cry for me. Save your tears for that day. A tragic day awaits for you. Allahu Akbar. Look at Imam Hassan. He's dying from the poison and he's comforting Imam Hussein. Imam Hassan cannot see his younger brother Hussein shed tears in front of him. Oh, Imam Hassan, what would have you done on the day of Ashura, when you would have seen an Imam al-Hussein wahidan ghariba وهو ينادي ألا هل من ناصر ينصرني ألا هل من معين يعينني. What would you have done, oh Imam Hassan, for you to see your brother so lonely and abandoned on the plains of Karbala? As Imam al-Hassan and Hussein, they were having this very emotional exchange between them. Someone knocks at the door. Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam tells, oh Hussein, oh Imam al-Hussein, take this container and I want you to hide it. The container in which he would be discharging his blood. Imam Hussein says, why, oh Hassan, why do you want to do that? Imam al-Hassan tells him, oh Hussein, Zainab is behind the door. And when she is going to enter the room and she will see me in this condition, and I am discharging the blood in the container, she will not be able to handle that. This will bring so much pain to her heart. Oh Aba Abdullah, please remove the container. I don't want Zainab to see me in this state. Lady Zainab alayhi salam comes and she sees Imam al-Hassan in a painful state, but they had removed the container. Oh Imam al-Hassan, look at your gentle heart. You did not want your sister Zainab to see you discharging blood. But oh Hassan, on the day of Ashura, when your sister Zainab saw the horse of Imam Hussein coming back from the battlefield, but this time the horse was without a rider, Lady Zainab knew the tragedy was coming near. Lady Zainab went to the battlefield. She was standing on that hilltop, and she saw Shimr walking up to Imam al-Hussein, and she saw that atrocity committed on Imam al-Hussein. Oh Hassan, you did not want her to see you discharging blood. This is how compassionate your heart is. But what about the heart of Zainab, when she would see the head of Imam Hussein carried on the spear all the way from Karbala to Kufa, and from Kufa to Damascus? Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين.
Thank you, Sayyidina, for that enlightening lecture. This concludes our Friday program for tonight. We invite you next week, inshallah. We'll be talking about modesty in Islam, the hijab for men and women. It'll be a joint lecture between a brother and a sister. So please, we invite you to come, inshallah, next week. So we are holding a discussion after this if you guys are interested, Saeed, do you want it in here or outside? If you want it in here, we can do it in here. Okay. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. I guess we're doing it outside then.